Hey everyone, I'm the Canadian Lad, and today I watched the official trailer of Thunderbolts at 0.25x speed and found 13 hidden details that you may or may not have seen before. So without any further ado, let's dive straight into the breakdown. Number 1, after watching this chasing sequence, many viewers are buzzing with speculation that Bucky might revert to his Winter Soldier persona and turn against his own team. However, if you pay close attention to the order of events and the details in the background, it becomes pretty clear that Bucky is actually trying to save them. Let's break it down step by step. Yelena, Ghost, and a US agent are all headed somewhere in Red Guardian's limo. That's when a fleet of Hummers begins their relentless pursuit, and Yelena says this:
"That's not good."
And as the Hummers open fire, Red Guardian says,
"She's bulletproof." What happened to bulletproof? It's bulletproof-ish!
And that's when Bucky arrives at the scene and starts taking down these Hummers one by one. And that's when US Agent will say,
"Is that Bucky?"
Now the trailer cleverly edits the sequence to suggest that Bucky is aiming at his own team. But here's what really happens here. Bucky on a motorcycle shoots at this Hummer's tow hook, pulls the brakes letting the Hummer go ahead of him, and then goes after the Hummer again. Then pulls a drift stop, and there we see in the background the same truck with its tow cable hook dangling on the road. And Red Guardian's limo is also visible to its right. That's when Bucky will dismount his motorcycle, grab the cable hook, and pull the truck with such force that he literally flips it over. He then removes his sunglasses and pulls his modified FN MK13 that shoots out disc-shaped explosives, which might be targeting Red Guardian's limo, but not with the intention of killing them, but to bring them to a stop. Had Bucky truly reverted to his Winter Soldier persona and aligned himself with the government, he certainly wouldn't have taken out all these Hummers. He wants to get to the team before the government can get to them first, and that's what I think is the proper sequence of this scene that was cleverly edited out to mislead the audience. But by repeatedly watching and reviewing movies, I go through phases where I don't want to look at screens unless deemed necessary. A fun way to fill this time is by playing games offline. Luckily, with today's sponsor Doomlinks, I can try out a fun new card game for my collection. Despite having Doom in its title, this card game focuses on fun. Doomlinks is a card game for the end of the world, suited for gamers and non-gamers alike, and fun for all ages. Fun fact, this game landed in the top 10th of 1% of all Kickstarter campaigns in history. That alone is a testament to how fun it is. If you've ever played games such as Exploding Kittens, Sushi Go, or Flux for example, I highly think you'd have a blast playing Doomlinks 2. It's just challenging enough, yet lighthearted and cheeky. Players score the most points by the time the world ends, while adapting to new rules thrown in the game during different rounds. But players, watch out, a hidden catastrophe can occur when you least expect it, posing further challenges throughout the game. So if you're looking for a fun, easy game that's sure to be liked by all, I highly recommend adding Doomlinks to your tabletop game collection. Check them out at doomlinks.com and get 20% off with the code LAD20, that's LAD20. Number 2, inside Alexi's apartment, notice he has 2 action figures of himself, aka the Red Guardian. We learned in the movie Black Widow that the Red Guardian was kind of like a celebrity back in the 80s who had his own action figures. So it seems like Alexi has kept some of them in his home. Number 3, we see Bucky Barnes entering a congressional hearing room, and he wears a pin that tells us that he is now a member of the Congress. Now, how did someone like Bucky with a shady past involving ties to Russia, who was even a fugitive at one point, wind up getting a place in the Congress? Well, whatever way that might have happened, but notice the constant grim expression etched on Bucky's face. He doesn't look too happy to be here. It's as if he's merely playing the part of a government official on paper, but in reality he knows something about the government and isn't happy about it. Please keep this in mind, I'm gonna elaborate on this detail when I talk about Sentry. Number 4, behind Yelena there's a poster of the Red Guardian wielding a hammer which looks awfully similar to Mjolnir. Now this looks like a symbol of communism, where a hand usually wields a hammer and sickle in the background of the rising sun and the red star. But here Marvel made it resemble Steve Rogers' pose from Endgame when he wielded Mjolnir. Number 5, we see John Walker, aka the US agent, and the last time we've seen him was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where he was the chosen one to replace Captain America. But after he took the Super Soldier Serum, his rage spiraled out of control, culminating in a shocking moment where he took down a flag smasher in broad daylight with the very shield that symbolizes hope. He was later discharged, but then recruited by Val and was given the name US Agent. Now during his time in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, John was already married to Olivia Walker, and now he's also a father. Yet this new chapter hasn't brightened his spirits at all. Instead, he appears to be grappling with profound depression as he reads the news about his struggle to fill Captain America's shoes. And if you notice, he isn't using an iPhone, which goes back to the policy Apple has where they don't let any shady characters use their products. Well, my mother still uses it anyway. And if you notice, the story was written by Rory Bruin, the art director of this film, who has previously worked on movies like Tenet and Red Notice. Number 6. Yelena looks up towards a building in Kuala Lumpur just before it erupts in an explosion, and it's pretty safe to say she's the mastermind behind it. They actually filmed this whole scene in real-life location, and Florence Pugh, who plays Yelena, has even performed a stunt where she apparently jumps off of the iconic Merdeka Tower. A glimpse of that scene was shown in the Comic-Con trailer, but it didn't make it into the official release. Perhaps they're saving it for promotional teasers or want audiences to experience it firsthand in theaters. Now, as for Yelena's motives behind the destruction, she reveals her inner turmoil through the voiceovers.
I thought throwing myself into work was the answer.
She confesses that she feels an emptiness within herself, believing that keeping busy with work would help fill that void. And by work, she means robbing government labs, blowing up buildings, and other high-stakes escapades. Now let's focus on Yelena's outfit, and we'll be able to figure out the order of these scenes. First, she walks into a building wearing this dark gray hoodie, fights off 7 armed guards, steals a vial from a lab that is marked with a symbol that looks like a human face, which could indicate that this is dangerous for any human consumption. Then we see her holding the same vial while one of the scientists working at the lab points a gun towards her. She then hides the vial on the inside of her palm, strikes a powerful punch, and takes down the scientist. And just before she escapes, she probably planted several explosives, leading us right to this moment. Notice she's also holding onto a guinea pig in this scene, implying she rescued this rodent from the lab as she knew she's gonna blow it all up. Yelena then walks into her foster father's home wearing the same hoodie, meaning all of these scenes where she goes on random missions will take place in the beginning parts of the movie. Number 7. Yelena enters into a vault, this time wearing her full costume. We see several IV drip stands draped with plastic bags, suggesting that some unsettling human experiments may have taken place here. And that's when we come across this blueprint, which has to be the biggest Easter egg in the trailer. But before I break it down, let me quickly tell you who the character Sentry is in the Marvel Comics. It's really important that you know his backstory in order to understand any of this. Sentry's real name in the comics is Robert Reynolds, aka Bob Reynolds. There are 2 iterations in the comics regarding how he got his powers, and one of them is that he was injected with a modified super soldier serum that's a staggering 1,000 times more potent than Steve Rogers' serum. The other iteration says Sentry is an alien being who possessed a host who happened to be a super soldier. Kinda like how Venom works, but imagine he possessed a super soldier. But I think Marvel will adapt the first iteration to keep the story more grounded. Now, Sentry is not just your run-of-the-mill superhero. He boasts all the classic powers like super strength and telepathy, but he possesses something uniquely extraordinary. He once lifted the lifeless body of a Celestial and carried it into space. He's stronger than Thor and Hulk, and has torn Carnage apart using his bare hands, and even broke the axe of Galactus Harold Terex, which is powerful enough to destroy a whole planet. He can travel from Earth to another planet in a matter of moments, and even survived a nuclear blast at point-blank range. But here's the twist. When Robert was injected with the Sentry serum, it infected his brain, developing an alternate personality called the Void. So no matter how many people the Sentry saves, the Void will always kill the same number. And that's why in order to kill the Void, Sentry tried to kill himself by flying into the sun. But even that didn't kill him, since Sentry is arguably more powerful than a million exploding suns. So having no other options to defeat the Void, who is a force within himself, Bob installed a device on top of the Avengers Tower, which was known as the Sentry Watchtower at the time, used the device to amplify his telepathic powers, and makes everyone on Earth forget that he ever existed, including himself. And that's basically the story of Sentry in short. Now, coming back to what Yelena discovered, notice the blueprint is called the Watchtower, which we learned is the headquarters of Sentry in the comics. And there's a text right beside it that says, "Please do not release," making it a confidential document. And on top of that, we see a blueprint for the same device that Sentry used in the comics to make everyone forget that he ever existed. So if Marvel sticks closely to the comics, it looks like the Avengers Tower was brought by Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, which by the end of the movie could turn into the Watchtower. Now, Marvel has a few options here. Either tell us that Sentry has been there all along the MCU, but we just didn't know it since he wiped out everyone's memory, including his own.
Oh, I've been here the whole time.
Or they could have the government working on a new serum to create someone 1,000 times stronger than Steve Rogers. Or the third and my favorite option would be a blend of both concepts. They could establish that Sentry was created at the same time or even before Captain America, but was kept a secret and then later wiped out from everyone's memory. But now the newly formed government wants him back and wants to reinstigate the program. And this explains the constant grim look on Bucky's face. Because he comes from a time when Captain America was created, so perhaps he has inside knowledge of the Sentry. But now that the government wants to reinstate the program, he's not happy. That would also mean that the Stark Tower was always the Sentry headquarters, but Tony Stark didn't know it. And I think that would alter the entire history of Marvel Cinematic Universe, which brings us to the asterisk featured in the title. My theory is that if Marvel does go along with the storyline, and it's revealed at the film's climax that Avengers Tower has always been the Sentry Tower, the asterisk will disappear, and the title could transform into something like Dark Avengers, completely flipping the MCU on its head. Number 8. The government has also come up with 12 hairstyles for Sentry. They even created a chart that ranks hair colors by popularity, with the blonde taking the top spot just like Sentry has in the comics. And they've also designed 6 different logos for the iconic S that will adorn his costume. In a later shot from the trailer, we actually catch a glimpse of the physical logo they ultimately chose, and that's the logo prominently featured in a larger format on the paperwork, implying by the time Yelena discovers these documents, the work is already done. Now, it was reported back in May by the Cosmic Circus that OXE is gonna have a role in Thunderbolts, and in this paperwork, we see the logo for OXE, and some of the crates in this vault have the same logo as well. So what exactly is this OXE organization? OXE made its debut in the Marvel Comics in Ultimate Fallout number 3. Valentina is the chairman of this organization, which is said to be the largest holding company in the world, with a notorious reputation for engaging in illegal dealings and shady secrets. So it seems like the company Valentina founded in the MCU is gonna be named after its comic counterpart. Number 9. Upon meeting each other for the first time, John Walker starts shooting at Yelena. Notice how all the shots were aimed at her head, showcasing John's incredible shooting skills. He realizes Yelena is probably wearing a bulletproof vest, so he aims for the part that's not protected. Number 10. Robert Reynolds in the comics actually has severe mental health issues. In fact, Sentry's power depends on his mental stability, meaning that any mental struggle he faces, it can drastically diminish his powers. And if I play out this scene, notice the way Bob speaks here.
Oh no.
Who are you?
I'm Bob.
Who sent you, Bob?
Nobody. You were all sent?
Huge credits to Louis Pullman, who's playing Bob, has acted the scene in a way that depicts his mental turmoil. Bob appears overly defensive and seems kinda disoriented, almost as if he's lost in his own mind, echoing the very beginnings of his story in the comics. Fast forward to a later shot, he looks more composed and angry. And here we see several bullet holes on his gown as well, but there are no visible wounds on his body, indicating by the time Yelena and the others encounter Bob, he has already been injected with the Sentry serum. And my theory is they get out of this vault with his help. Number 11. There's something really weird about Taskmaster throughout the trailer. First, when the team is trying to figure out who Bob is, we only see Yelena, Ghost, and US Agent. Taskmaster is nowhere to be seen in this entire conversation. It's not until the timer starts and the lights turn red, that's when we see her again. And the second time this happens is when everyone takes the elevator to Val's penthouse, where we can see Red Guardian, Ghost, Bucky, Yelena, and US Agent. But once again, Taskmaster is missing. Even as they exit the elevator, she's nowhere to be found. Then almost out of nowhere, she pops up in the background in this shot. This all suggests that Taskmaster might be the only one who actually works for Val. It is possible that she was already with Val while the others took the elevators. But then why would she stand with the rest of the team here? Well, that's why I said there's some mystery surrounding Taskmaster's role in the trailer. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments. Number 12. The interior design of Val's private bar still has the same rock patterns as Tony had when it used to be the Stark Tower. And if you notice, there were still unopened cardboard boxes scattered across the floor. And the absence of furniture in this penthouse suggests that Val has just moved in and is only getting started. Number 13. In the scene where Bucky pulls out his vibranium arm from the dishwasher and puts it back in his shoulder, notice he's on a phone call with someone. Someone probably important, giving him instructions, therefore he's preparing for a fight. My guy couldn't even finish his dinner and is ready for a mission already. And that's it. This would be my breakdown of Thunderbolts teaser at point 2 1.5x speed. Rather than dissecting every scene, I focused on highlighting the crucial details this time around. After 3 long-length videos, I thought a shorter format might be a bit more suitable this time. But once they release a full-blown trailer, that's when I'll break it down scene by scene. Let me know your thoughts on the trailer and comment down below your favorite detail. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this video, grab the subscribe button and turn notifications on. Till then, I'll see you lads in the next one.